All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of The Potential Project. I'm your host, Sean Calhoun, and if you're here, it's because you're ready to reduce stress, burn stubborn fat, and get your body working with you instead of against you. On this podcast, we're all about simple, no BS strategies for fitness, nutrition, and lifestyle. This way, you can feel strong, confident, and in control. I'll give you the tools, mindset shifts, and habits to help you look and feel your best without spending hours in the gym or stressing over every single meal. Now, let's get into it. So most women I work with don't even realize that stress is more than just a busy schedule. Now, the reason why we're talking about this is because stress impacts your entire life. The quality of your health, the quality of your life, your energy, your mood, it impacts all of it. And for the most part, it's negatively impacting it. Now, I know a lot of us can use stress as a good thing, and it's necessary for your body to operate and to thrive. But what we're talking about here today is the negative impacts of stress on your life and the invisible stressors that are the real reason behind your fatigue, behind your stubborn fat, and behind all the hormonal chaos that you're experiencing in your life right now. Now, what we're going to go over are the four big stressors that you need to know about and how you can start addressing them, right? How to know when they're impacting you and what you can do about it. Because if you've listened to any of my other podcasts, you'll know I'm all about action, right? I don't want you to listen to this and then go on to listen to 1,000 other podcasts and do nothing with it, right? If you listen to this and you learn something and you can take action on it today, then I've done my job. So let's talk about stress, right? And the big thing that I want to get across is that stress is not just mental, right? When most people think about stress, they're thinking about what is their work situation, their career, their job. They're thinking about their family, right? If they have a busy household, or their schedule, right? Maybe they're busy from 6 in the morning until 7 at night and they're just running around, right? Like they consider that to be stress. But the important thing to acknowledge here is that that's not all that stress is. There are different ways that your body experiences stress, but the point that I'm trying to get across is that your body doesn't differentiate between the stressors. So if there's stress at work, or someone cuts you off, or you've got a busy family life, your body doesn't say, "Oh, well, that was family stress, so that's okay, and I'm fine with that." But this work stress really gets me, heated up. It approaches it the same way, which is it releases hormones, specifically cortisol, right? There's a lot of things that happen, but here's the baseline experience of stress on your body. Chronic stress from your work, from the food you're eating, from the four big hidden stressors that we're going to get into, but there's a chronic amount of stress on your body, which means it's happening all the time or for extended periods of time. Acute stress would be like a car crash or you get punched. That's acute stress. But chronic stress is happening even at a low grade over a long period of time. That contributes to your body secreting cortisol on a unregulated basis, right? It's secreting more cortisol than it needs to or that it should, and that's happening over a long time. That puts your body in survival mode, right? We've heard of fight or flight, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous systems. So you're in survival mode. And what happens during that time, and the reason why we call it fight or flight, is because your body is surged with cortisol, adrenaline, epinephrine, so that you can focus and narrow in your focus and your energy to escape the scene of the crime, right? Like the dangerous situation. You can escape what's going on. And then you're supposed to calm back down. But if your body is constantly in that survival mode, that's why we call it fight or flight. You're trying to fight away a dangerous thing or get away. You're in that state rather than rest and digest. And that's why they call it that, because your body is calm. You're able to digest food. You're able to do a lot of things like procreate, right? When you're not in that mode, your body is storing fat. It's got low energy and you're not recovering properly. Now, I apologize if you can hear the leaf blower. The landscapers decided to come exactly when I wanted to film this podcast. But either way, we're going to keep rolling here. Now, the next part we're going to talk about are those four big hidden stressors. And I'm going to throw in an additional one, so you're going to get 5. Now, what are these 4 hidden stressors and why are they so important? Now, stressor number 1 is blood sugar swings, right? You might say, how is that a stressor on your body, right? Again, that's why we're talking about it, because stress is not just you being overwhelmed at work. Having a blood sugar swing for your body is stressful, and it increases your cortisol, and it causes your body to have the same reactions as if, let's say, you got caught off in traffic. So this happens when you're skipping meals. This happens when you're eating a ton of like carb heavy snacks. This happens when you are doing a little bit too much coffee, right? Too much coffee, too much of the energy drinks, and that starts to lead to crashes in your day, right? So when you are eating a carb heavy meal, your body gets an influx of glucose, of sugar, right? And insulin comes out to use that glucose and put it into your bloodstream, but it's a spike. It's quick, it's easily absorbed, and then it crashes. Same thing with coffee, right? We get our body juiced up with a lot of caffeine really quickly, and then we crash. Or if we're skipping meals, we don't have the nutrients to maintain our metabolism, and then we crash from that as well, right? What happens because of these crashes is your body says, I need to fill the void. I need what I'm missing from those nutrients, from that sugar, from whatever. And it leads to cravings. It leads to irritability. And a big one that I see is afternoon fatigue, where you start off the day okay, your energy's kind of all right, and then by the afternoon, you're tanked, right? You have no more energy left in the day. You just want to go take a nap and just be done for the day. Now, we can go into more fixes, but that is summary of the stressor number one, is those blood sugar swings and how it impacts us, because our blood sugar is meant to be even keeled throughout the day. So doing things like skipping meals, having those carb heavy snacks, and relying on caffeine is throwing your blood sugar on a roller coaster. It's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. And because our body is constantly craving nutrients, right, from that stability, it doesn't have the stability. You're craving salts, you're craving chocolates, you're craving another cup of coffee or a nap. And during that time period, you get very irritable, right? Like right now, I'm giving my body a break from coffee. I'm going to go 2 weeks without caffeine to kind of reset my body, right? Back on natural energy. And I can find myself in the mornings when I usually have that cup of coffee, you kind of get irritable. You're like, you don't know what to do with yourself. You're like, oh my gosh, like I just want this cup of coffee to kind of calm me down. It kind of makes you feel like warm and cozy inside, right? Like you have a blanket and you're secure with your cup of coffee. Maybe you don't feel like that, but I was feeling that way. So I knew it was time to give the coffee a break. So a fix for this, you can balance your protein and your carbs. So every time you eat a meal, it shouldn't just be carbs, right? There's nothing wrong with carbs. I'm not demonizing them. But let's say you're having oatmeal. Well, make sure you're maybe putting a protein with that, whether it's a scoop of protein powder or some Greek yogurt or maybe some eggs, right? Always have protein with your carbs. So try to dress them up, protein and a fat with your carbs. Another thing you can do is to start your day with protein. I talk about this a lot, but starting your day with protein kind of sets the stage for your blood sugar and your satiety throughout the day. So if you're eating your first meal and it's full of protein and it's a savory meal, well, then that's going to carry on to lunch, and you'll have a good stable mood, you'll have good energy, and you won't be hungry and you won't be craving snacks. So then at lunchtime, you can have that next meal and continue it on throughout the day. So starting the day with protein sets the stage for your blood sugar throughout the day. Stressor number 2 is poor sleep and recovery. Right? I'm talking about late nights. I'm talking about scrolling on your phone. I'm talking about irregular bedtimes, right? Going to bed at 9 o'clock one night, then 11 o'clock the next night, then 2 a.m. on the weekends, right? Your body, because of that, is never going to fully reset and recharge. Your body needs routine, it needs structure, and it needs to know how it can adapt to that structure so that it can do what it needs to do. So if your body knows, hey, at 10 p.m. every night I'm going to bed, and at 6 a.m. every day I'm going to wake up, it starts to get into that routine and says, okay, I need energy in the morning, I need to wind down at night. If you are not allowing that by staying up late or having irregular bedtimes, your body can't get into that rhythm, and therefore you're going to have stress on your body. So what that does, that causes It causes hormonal dysregulation, because when you're sleeping and you're getting deep quality sleep, that's when you're detoxifying and regulating hormone levels. It causes you to struggle with fat loss, right? Again, when you sleep, your body burns fat. So if you're not getting that done properly, you're not able to burn fat. And your energy, it stinks, right? How good is your energy going to be if your sleep and wake times are all over the place? You're up late night scrolling on your phone, right? You're not providing your body with the support that it needs to actually recover. So all of those things are going to suffer. So a fix you can do for this one is start off with a bedtime routine. Can you get into a situation where you're going to bed and waking up around the same time? It doesn't have to be a perfect on the dot minute, but do you have a half an hour window where you're going to bed around the same time every night and waking up around the same time every morning? That's the best thing that you can do to start off with. Other things you can do is maybe you turn off the lights at the same time, right? Where you're still on the couch and you're relaxing, but the lights are off, right? And it's not overhead lights, and maybe you just have the TV on, right? And you're relaxing, but your body is telling itself it's time to wind down. Or cut the screens off completely 1 hour before bed, where maybe you read a book or you're taking a nice hot shower or a bath and just giving yourself some wind down time. Those are all things that are going to allow you to reset your schedule and allow your body to know, hey, it's time to release melatonin, it's time to relax, it's time to get ready for a deep, restful sleep. So hidden stress number three is inflammation and gut health. Now, this one is huge because 80% of your immune system lives within your gut. So if you are not providing your gut and your digestive system with the enzymes, with the nutrients, and with the food that it needs to flourish, you're going to get inflammation, you're going to get stress internally. Now, the thing with this is sometimes it shows up as like bloating and achy joints and something that you can actually feel. Other times you don't even notice it, and it's kind of happening under the radar. So it's a sneaky one because it can cause a lot of problems downstream and you might not even catch on to it. So this happens from things like eating processed foods, eating seed oils, lots of sugars. It can happen from drinking alcohol and food sensitivities, and also toxins that are on your food. So spraying the food with chemicals. These are all things that when you consume them are going to cause inflammation and a flare up in your gut. So if there's a food that is healthy, but your body is sensitive to it, and you eat it, boom, that causes inflammation. When you're drinking alcohol, there's really nothing good about alcohol. Let's be honest. Your body has to detoxify it. It is a poison. It is a toxin. Your body has to get rid of it. That causes inflammation. Processed foods. When you take a natural food group and you put it through a processing situation, whether that's heating it to an extreme temperature or degrading the nutrients by grinding it down into a fine powder, right? You're extracting all of the good things that were once in it and recreating it into a food and putting it into a package. So although it might taste like food, although it might not look like food, a lot of these highly processed foods are not even really food. They've totally stripped the components, totally stripped the vitamins and nutrients out of the food, and you're still consuming it. Your body doesn't want that stuff. It's looking for vitamins, nutrients, enzymes, things that are supposed to be in these natural foods, but they're not there. So that causes inflammation, right? So again, this is stress on our body. Just like if you got into an argument with your spouse, if your schedule's busy at work, the same thing is occurring here by eating these foods. And that's why I hammer this home so much, because not all stress is bad, but if we can at least acknowledge what these hidden stressors are and then try to do our best, right? We're not going to be perfect, but we try to do our best in removing these from our lifestyle and setting up habits and structure to have less stress in these hidden forms and more resilience. Therefore, your body's going to have more energy. You're going to start to live a more vital life. Hey, hope you're loving the episode so far. Thanks for spending some time with me. I got a quick favor to ask. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast, because that's how I know you're getting value from the show. And this way, you never miss an episode. All right, now back to the show. But back to the inflammation and the gut health. The way you're going to notice these things, they're going to show up in your life as bloating, Joint pain, fatigue, and brain fog. Those are the most common symptoms that occur from problems in your gut and inflammation, right? So if you have a ton of joint pain, that means your body is inflamed. And that can be coming from a lot of different ways. But if you're not treating your body well and you're drinking a lot of alcohol, you're eating a lot of processed foods, inflammation is going to happen in the gut, and that's going to cause joint pain. So bloating, joint pain, fatigue, and brain fog. If you're noticing those on a high level, there could be a good chance that your food is contributing to those symptoms. And if not directly, they're causing them to be more severe than they need to be, right? So a fix for you is to try some anti-inflammatory foods, right? That means any whole food that isn't, I'll just explain what the inflammatory food groups are. Alcohol, sugar, and like processed sugars. You have gluten, and you have dairy, right? If you were to greatly reduce those categories from your diet, you're going to improve all of those symptoms I just talked about. It might not be a snap of the finger and they're gone, but you're going to see a ton of improvement in your brain fog, your clarity, your energy is going to pick up, your joint pain is going to reduce, and your bloating is going to come down, right? It's not going to be a spark of bloating every single time that you eat food. So dairy, you got your sugar, you got your alcohol, and you got your gluten, right? If you can be aware of these and start to greatly reduce them and eventually eliminate a lot of them, then you should be going in the right path. Stress number 4, hidden stress number 4 is over-exercising and under-recovering. Now, we've been told more is better. We've been living in this mindset where, you need to work 25 out of 24 hours a day, no rest, that's for the week. And if you want to be successful, if you want to achieve your goals, you got to work harder. That isn't always true, right? And I'm not telling you not to work hard, that's very important. But being intentional and being smart with your movement is what causes you to progress and not cause this stress on your body. So a lot of times we do things like boot camp workouts or CrossFit, and it just totally tears our body up. Or we're doing long cardio where we're running miles and miles and miles on the concrete, and you're not ever recovering. You scheduled that workout, you scheduled the time to go for a run, but when did you ever schedule in time to foam roll or stretch or do a yoga session or just go for a walk, right? Those are all necessary components of your exercise and training routine that are just as important as the exercises. So again, we've been taught and shown in society through marketing and social media that you should just push hard, right? You need to learn how to lift heavier weights and build up your endurance. And again, those things are important, but they cannot come without the balance of recovery and stretching and massage and foam rolling and doing all of those things, because your body just cannot withstand the beating of tearing it down all the time, right? So when you do this, it actually slows down your fat loss and increases your fatigue. And we don't want that, right? The whole purpose of exercising is so that we can have a strong, mobile body that's at a good weight, that feels good on our body structure, and we enjoy the movements, right? We're enjoying the exercise that we're doing. It makes us sweat, gets our heart rate elevated. It feels good. It releases endorphins. It's a good thing. But when you're doing it to an extreme and never recovering, that becomes stress on your body. And when your body is in that state, it's going to hold on to the fat. It's going to store fat because you're messing with your cortisol levels, you're messing with your hormones, you're messing with your recovery system. So exercise is catabolic, which means it breaks the body down. Rest, recovery, and different modalities are what build the body up. That's anabolic, right? You might have heard of anabolic steroids, but exercise is catabolic. Stress, that's on the body. We need an anabolic balance. So we need that to be in a good ratio and a good balance so our body isn't deteriorating and breaking itself down completely. The fix for you is to adjust your routine. Let's start to do more strength training and recovery. So that would mean maybe you lift weights or do some resistance training 2 to 3 days a week. The other days you are doing maybe yoga, you're going for a walk, you're scheduling time to stretch and foam roll at home, and you're lowering down the intensity so that it's not go, go, go all the time, like running far distances. It can still be heavy weight, but the intensity in your cardio can be reduced. So you'll notice when you're doing squats or deadlifts or something like that, that's going to feel like cardio. You're going to be breathing heavy. It takes a lot of effort for your body to perform that movement. So that's the fix that we're looking to do is more strength training, more recovery, schedule it in, and understand you don't need to work out every day. 2 to 3, maybe 4 if your body's built for it. If you've built up the endurance and the strength to do that days a week, and you're golden, right? Now, I had made notes and bullet points for 4 hidden stressors, but I want to include a bonus one for you guys, and this is very important to acknowledge as well. And hidden stressor number 5 is going to be perceived stress. Now, the reason why this is so important is because it's different from person to person. If I use this example a lot, if 2 people get fired from a job, one person might go home and they might think life is over. No more money coming in. I have to pay the bills. I have to feed my children. This is the only job I've ever had, right? Like they have this negative spiral of the world is ending. This job is gone. I don't know. I can't even think about tomorrow. I don't know what my future is going to look like. And they start to suffer and they start to go into a panic mode, anxiety mode. That level of stress on that person's body is very high. Now, the other person who had the same job, they got fired the same day, they were told by the same boss, hey, today's your last day, pack up your things. They might go home and they might say, wow, that was unfortunate, but I still have a fully capable body. I've learned a lot of skills at that job. I know I'm employable because I've learned so many skills, and I've actually been wanting to start this business for years, but I've never, pushed myself to finally do it. This might be the time that I can actually start this business, and that starts a whole new, set of thoughts and actions that's going to lead them down a path of growth and, being able to flourish in life. Now, the point I'm trying to hammer home here is that same scenario, same situation, same day, but 2 different outcomes. Because the perceived stress from person number 1 was so high. They made this story in their mind that was awful. Whereas person number 2 kind of like took it as it was, right? It's not an ideal situation, but how can we turn it into one? Was calm about it and said, you know what? Actually, now I'm going to go start this business that I've wanted to for the last 5 years. And that's more empowering. So the amount of stress that was taken onto person number 1 is a lot of cortisol, a lot of, high heart rate, throwing off your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your mind's in the wrong place, a lot of stress. The other person may have experienced some stress, but not nearly as much. So the point I'm trying to make here is with perceived stress, it's all about your mindset. And it doesn't really matter what happens in life. If you have the approach of, I'm a victim, life is happening to me, poor me, I can't get out of this, you're going to have a lot of perceived stress on your hands, and that's going to cause chronic stress over years and years and years. But if you can switch your mindset from a victim, from someone who things happen to you, to understanding that you're in control of your decisions, your thoughts, your actions, and your emotions, and you're not a victim, and you take control of your life, and you realize that everything in your life that happened to you up to this point was because of you, good or bad, you're also in control of the next things that happen to you, good or bad. So when you make those decisions to say, I'm in control, I want to make a good outcome of this, how is life happening for me? And you always are able to pull the positive aspects of it or create something from that, then you're in control and there's less perceived stress on your plate, which overall improves your health, right? So how does this all add up? Well, we've kind of went over 5 hidden stressors plus the ones that we know that are right in front of our face. And the fact of the matter is all of these stressors compound on one another. So let me give you an example. You have bad sleep. You have a bad sleep routine. You're not going to bed early enough. You're going to bed late. It's inconsistent. Well, then you wake up and you're a little tired, right? So you're not in the mood. You're playing catch up. You didn't prepare food. You didn't prepare your outfit. So you're getting up. You're throwing on whatever clothes you can find. You get to work or you get to what you're doing. Now you don't have any food prepared. You're irritable. You're tired. And then you're going to make a bad food choice because you just need something quick. So now you get fast food for lunch. Now you're throwing in a lot of carbs into your body, a lot of processed foods, and that's causing a blood sugar swing, right? A spike in blood sugar because you had a soda and you had a bun with something, right? A lot of sugar, right? Then that causes you to crash, and that causes more stress on your body. And then you get home and you're tired, right? And then your nighttime routine is thrown off, and then this cycle continues on and on and on. And you can see how that can be a problem because once it starts, this cycle can get worse, right? Where you're not sleeping well in the beginning, but now it's even worse. Your sleep is so poor, your routine is off, your food choices compound, they start to create more blood sugar swings, you're storing more fat, right? It goes and goes. And the part I'm trying to get across here is that people don't realize this until it becomes a serious problem, until those symptoms start to become severe, or maybe they've looked down and they've put on 20 pounds of weight, right? You want to be able to catch these things so that you can stop the cycle in its tracks and know that you have the power to have the energy and to reduce the stress. So it's no wonder that some people feel like they're broken, but really they're not. It's just this system that we're talking about and your system is overlooked. Now, here's the deal, right? We could talk about this till Christmas, right? But I hope that I've at least shared some ways that you might acknowledge stress is coming into your life that you didn't know before, right? Maybe you only thought about stress in a certain way, but now you're understanding that it comes from the food you eat, it comes from your schedule, it comes from your exercise routine. And we need to be able to be in control of this and manage our stress loads. So what are some things that we can do? We want to start small and we want to take some actions that are practical, that are something that you feel confident in doing. Something like hydration. Can you get enough water in the day? Which is try for half your body weight in ounces of water. But if we're talking about energy and we're talking about reducing stress, some other things you can do are have a balanced breakfast with some protein in it, or get to bed at a consistent time. Maybe you have an alarm set for the morning and you always get up at 6, but at nighttime it's a crapshoot. We go to bed whenever we feel like it or whenever that show is over. Where instead, we could always set a bedtime alarm where we know at this time, TV's off, we're stopping what we're doing, we're going to get situated, and we're going to go to bed. That's a good way to improve your nighttime routine because then your body's going to get established with that. So ask yourself, what's one stressor that you can reduce this week? And then take action on it, right? So just remember, there are these invisible stressors that are silently draining your energy and they're stopping your results. And we're here to find out ways that we can get results, have energy, burn fat, and feel better. So if you have a reflection on this or you're taking action on it, share with it. Share on your social media. Tag me in it. My handle is Sean Calhoun _. If you're making those changes, share with it on your social media. Tag me. And if you have any questions, DM me on Instagram and I'll be sure to get back to you. I get back to all my messages, all my comments on there, and I want to hear your guys' story. So until next time, guys, have a great week and go be great. Hey, thanks for spending some time with me on today's episode. I hope you got a ton of value from it. If we're not connected on Instagram yet, let's change that. Hit me up at Sean Calhoun _. That's SEAN Calhoun _. Shoot me a DM. Let me know what you think of the show or if you got any questions about how to level up your health. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you on the next episode.